hello. An example of more or less a definition of colossal cheek can be found as follows. A chap who murders both his parents and then, having been caught and on trial, asks the court for clemency on the grounds that he is an orphan. That little joke occurred to me straight away when I saw this article. It says here, Ukraine counter-offensive too slow because they're not doing it properly, Germans claim. Now, if there's one country in the world that has absolutely no right to tell other people how to fight their battles, it's Germany. And no, I'm not referring to the last World War. I'm referring to the way the German army has conducted itself until now. This is, after all, an army that had to use broomsticks in a fairly recent NATO exercise. That's all courtesy of Ursula von der Leyen. But it happened because that's how the German government wanted it. The German army has been little more than a civil defence unit for many years, and that's partly because after World War II they were told not to go in for any more aggressive hijinks. And the other thing was that America was funding their whole defence. There were American encampments, barracks all over the place in Germany. And Germany used all the money it collected in taxes from its hard-working citizens to pump into healthcare, social services and good roads. Now, in many ways, you can't blame the Germans for living the good life protected by somebody else, while other people in America were going without healthcare in order to pay the taxes to keep their vast army in Germany. But I'd say that it's about time now that Germany started to shape up or ship out. They got so used to other people protecting them that they just sit there and let other people do the job and feel that they are morally superior. So they can tell the Ukrainians, oh, get on with the job. It's those bloody young men in Ukraine who are dying and being maimed and suffering trauma. It's Ukrainian children who are having schools and shelters bombed over their heads. It's the Ukrainians who are suffering, and Germany is in absolutely no position whatsoever to criticise Ukraine. They will do what they have to do when they have to do it. Does anyone doubt the commitment of the Ukrainians? I don't. Senior British military officials dismiss claims in leaked report by Bundeswehr because they just don't ring true. Yeah, I'm sure the Bundeswehr doesn't really know much about fighting anymore. I am quite sure they have the theory down to a T, because Germans are very good on theory and learning stuff and all the rest of it. I'm not criticising the Germans, I'm criticising the establishment that thinks it has some sort of moral superiority. Ukraine's counter-offensive is failing to make progress, it says here, because its army is not fully implementing the training it's received from the West, according to a linked German intelligence assessment. Kyiv is spreading its troops too thinly across the 1,000-kilometre front line and attacking in units composed of too few soldiers, according to the confidential document obtained by the German Bild newspaper. You know what? Ukraine could be a lot more effective if we in the West gave them better weapons. None of our armies here in the West have ever done this sort of fighting without air support, and they don't have air support. They have precious little ground support. And Germany is thinking to Do you remember how Germany was shilly-shallying over tanks? It's been pulled screaming into this venture from the beginning. Now, I know I have some people here who watch my videos and tell me that Ukraine can't win. You know what? And that they were in the wrong. No. Russia invaded them. They are fighting for their lives. Just like Russia has kidnapped probably thousands of Ukrainian children now. That's what they would have done if they'd have managed to overrun Ukraine, and what they still will do. They have no compunctions about pounding cities flat. Look what the Russians did to Aleppo. If you want to see what the Russians do, just check what they did in Syria. Going on form, that's what they intend to do in Ukraine. They've mined hundreds of square kilometers, thousands maybe, which will kill Ukrainians for many generations to come. And this is all in areas that Russia gives out, belongs to Russia. The Donbass and what they pronounce as Lugansk. And they've mined that. This is supposed to be their own territory. They have not a care for Ukraine. They just want to flatten the place. And the Germans are criticising the Ukrainians for not getting on with it quickly enough. Well, you know how I feel about this. I feel the Germans can go bugger off. And I know that I have some German subscribers. But I'm sorry, this is just awful behaviour. A terrible attitude. And you know what? If Russia had moved into Ukraine, they would have been after East Germany next, and you know it. There is no end to Putin's territorial ambitions. And at the cost of many Ukrainian lives, we in the West are telling Putin that he has to rein himself in. Even if Russia does manage to stop the war with some land, it won't try anymore because it knows the trouble it's going to be in if it does. The point has already been made, but I don't blame and I cannot criticise the Ukrainians for continuing to fight the way they do. More power to their elbow. And we have to remember here in the West that this is our fight as well. And if we want to criticise the Ukrainians for not throwing waves of meat at the Russian guns, then we should be putting our own young men into that fight as well. If we don't want to do that, which I certainly don't, then we have no right to criticise the Ukrainians for their battle tactics. We can give them advice. I'm sure they're getting plenty of advice, but they know their territory better than any of us. It's disgraceful. Okay, I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I'm also on Twitter and Gab, where I let you know when I've uploaded a new video. Please like this video, please share it, please subscribe, and check that you are subscribed if you're on YouTube. YouTube is a bit careless about hanging on to subscriptions. You can also donate if you want. All the links are in the description, but clicking like is really the most useful. Okay, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share, share, share.